The Soul of the River. The story by Tanya. 150 million years ago, a ruler of the underground kingdom called Calcius hopelessly fell in love with a beauty river. From year to year, from one millennium to another, he admired her bubbling water on shallows. He felt delighted to see the change of the mood of her impulsive waves. He dreamt about flowing together with her swift current. However, the beauty laughed at him, making the unhappy admirer loving her more every day. He presented her precious stones, but she threw them about the banks. From the bowels of the earth he used to take out the fire, but running from him away, she put it out carelessly by the water splashes. 2 million years later, a severe cold came to the earth. The master of the northern lands called ice was coming back from the outer space. The bitter frost and the fierce hurricanes killed every living thing, turning even stones to ice. Having seen the dancing river still alive, Ice ordered her to stop and to become his slave. But the river raised her waves and didn't stand still. Therefore, Ice decided to ice-bound her and to take her to his winter country forever. Hardly breaking Ice bondage, the poor river slowed down until she lost her strength and found herself under the thick layer of ice and snow. Calcius saw that the river was giving up and broke its bottom, so that having seeped through the cracks, she found shelter from the bitter fate under the ground. Ice became furious. Freezing the earth's crust, he tried to overtake the fugitive, but as deep as the cold made the way through the earth's body, as closer Calcius held his sweetheart to himself, as faster he led her away to the underground labyrinths to hide her there. Afterwards, he called for the warriors volcanoes and the fire snakes, fought Ice, and drove him out of his lands. Having sought out in the warm embrace of Calcius, the river revived and began bubbling again, flooding with water the underground galleries and filling the loving heart with happiness. For 90 million years, Calcius didn't let the beauty river out of his embrace and was melting with love to her. The river whispered him sweetly thankful words, penetrating deeper and deeper into his soft heart and pliable limestone rocks. However, the river can't stay still in one place. She needs moving ahead. The river was longing for freedom. There was no light and not enough space for her under the ground. She asked Calcius with tears to let her go, and he begged her with a passion to stay. One day, running very near the surface, the river heard singing birds. Its despair, passionate desire, thirst of life merged together and broke outside by the water flow, opening the underground embrace. The soul of the river turned into a twittering bird and flew with the birds of passage to the far-off places. 50 million years ago, the water escaped from the caves, having left an empty riverbed, the hole in the ground never overgrown with grass, and broken hopes. But nature doesn't keep the emptiness. For the first time in eternity, Calcius began crying. His bitter tears trickled down the walls of the cave, merging with the little parts of minerals and hardened by his memories about her. Where the water cheerfully rushed from the height downwards, the wonderful waterfall was formed of the limestone. Where the river weaved the water lace, the magnificent cascades stood still. She loved flowers, and fantastic gardens created of rocks began blossoming in the cave. She yearned for the light, so he put the beautiful chandeliers made of minerals on the ceiling. The unusual light of those chandeliers solidified the moon milk on the stone statues. She often thought of the sky, and the stars were lit by the minerals' reflections on the dome of the cave. He recollected the time when she was suckling playfully among the trees on the ground, and the stone woods grew in depths. Elephants, jellyfishes, mushrooms were found in the underground kingdom. There was everything what used to connect her to the above-ground life. He put music of her falling water into the sounds of the cave organ sounding from time to time. That was a stone structure resembling the musical instrument in the human world. Similar to the castles on the ground, he built twisted towers and winding staircases. He created palace halls supported by the high columns and filled them with carved thrones and rich ornaments. For 1,000,000 years, he waited and hoped that sometimes she would be back. But her soul was flying very far away. One perfect day, following somebody's will, a twittering bird flew into the cave through the hole in the ground. The cheerful song woke the underground world, having sounded the cave organ again by ringing drops. Drop by drop, the voice of the river was heard again. He recognized her and was happy. He didn't keep her locked up this time. She could fly away and come back when she wanted to, and he admired the free flight of her soul and the beauty of her spread wings. Soon the birds departing to the warm places called her to join them again, but for some reason she couldn't fly away. She threw herself against the ground at the cave's entry, and next spring she sprouted there by a tender flower of a meadow pink. Each year she restored her fill from the resources of her native land and pleased him with a new flower, a chamomile, a forget-me-not, a violet. However, the river cannot remain in one place. She is always directed forward, far, high. So once the ardent aspiration of her soul shot up on the ground by the scarlet color of poppy. That summer, children gathered the flowers in the meadow and noticed a beautiful poppy growing on the edge of the pit. In the middle of the green carpet, the black hole yawned, exciting and frightening children's curiosity. The scary uncertainty threatened from the cave by the evil spirits and imaginary horrors. But the unknown mystery attracted the children by the bright flower. The bravest child had the courage to approach the gap cautiously and, looking apprehensively at the dark disk of the well, picked the plant hastily. The soul of the river was absorbed through eyes and hands and entered into a human body. The Calceus looked with pain and hurt as she was escaping from him again. Distraught with grief, he shook the underground by his bitter sobbing. The hopes for her return were shattered, and the big hall collapsed, destroying the glorious decoration created by centuries. Frightened by a dreadful noise, children ran up, carrying away a precious flower of her soul. The Calceus was alone again. His thoughts of her flew about the cave by stonebirds. The treasure of his soul was transformed into the cave's pearls. When he imagined her being a human, the figures resembling people appeared in the underground halls. Trying to perform his ardent desire for their being together, he created beautiful forms of the stone streams, stalactite and stalagmite, growing towards each other to meet. As time passed, everything was developed and transformed from one quality to another. The soul of the river was passed from mother to son, from grandfather to granddaughter, from the old generation to a new family. Only one thing remained unchanged. He waited for her. Hoping for her coming back, he opened the underground kingdom to people. Soon the caves were explored and well equipped. The entrance was widened, the steps were built, and electrical illumination was installed. People were invited to do tours around the caves. The tourists were stunned by the splendor of the underground galleries. Holding their breaths, they watched the story of the loving heart being revived by the bright beams of light disturbing the stone images. During one of the excursions, a girl came down with a group. The mass of minerals on the walls blackened of dust and soot, but the girl saw the scars on the body patched of grief and pain. The drops flowing down the walls seemed to her like tears, and the stone figures reminded her about something dear. Unexpectedly, the light was out on the whole route. The people were startled and became silent. The moment of revelation came. Not understanding why she did so, the girl suddenly burst into laughing. Her clear laugh resounded in the cave organ by the melodious echo cascade. Her high voice flooded the silence with a sparkling flow. The soul of the river began sounding again. He recognized him. All season while the caves were open, the girl came almost every day. The staff knew her already, and she was allowed to walk alone around the underground labyrinths. Having avoided the curious eyes, she imagined herself in every stone sculpture created by him. It seemed to her she lived through 1,000 years of separation over again, feeling everything what happened in the hidden world without her. And then, having forgotten about her past sorrows and overflowed with incomprehensible happiness, the girl sang the songs without words. The gentle tune was streaming in the air, and sweet echo was embracing the flowing voice. There, under the ground, the girl found out her soul. But the vacation finished, and once the girl didn't come. The impulsive course of life brought her to another coast. The rapid train took her away to the far city as fast as the hurried waves carry the ship behind the horizon. The illusion of happiness flashed again and disappeared round the next turn of the river channel. The sincere bitterness of the Kalsu's heart rushed to the surface and burned the entrance to the underground kingdom by the toxic gases. The caves were closed for long because of unexplored natural phenomena. It's impossible to hold the river aspiring to stars. Living one's human body, having escaped from the corporal captivity, being free from the closed circle of death and rebirth, the soul of the river grasped the star wind and directed to her dream, living for other planets and worlds. In 1,000, or maybe in 1,000,000 years, having flown all over the universe, that wind will return to the earth. Then, under the ground, 2 stone streams will meet in one impulse. Having reached each other, 2 rocky forms of hearts will be united. And if someone hears the cave organ resounded again, you should know it is not the wind blowing to the stone pipes. It is singing the soul of the river, the voice of my heart.